Mr. President, thank you for giving me your attention today. My name is Kimmel. I'm the grandson of the late Admiral Husband E. Kimmel, Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Fleet at Pearl Harbor when the Japanese attacked on December 7, 1941. You and I met years ago on one of your campaign stops here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Mr. President, our nation is both admired and envied for the value we place on human justice. But sometimes an injustice is permitted to stand. And today I'm asking that you right one such grievous wrong. During this, the 65th anniversary year of Pearl Harbor, I'm urging you to honor a request made by the U.S. Congress. The request to restore posthumously the ranks of Admiral Kimmel and General Walter Short, the only flag and general officers barred from holding in retirement their highest held grades in World War II. Mr. President, through your leadership, you have demonstrated you value honor and human freedom above politics. And for certain, this issue is beyond politics. On May 25, 1999, Republicans and Democrats came together in the United States Senate in a bipartisan vote to restore the ranks of Kimmel and Short. The following year, both houses of Congress voted unanimously as part of the Armed Forces Spending Authorization Act of 2001 to fully restore their ranks and honor. Since 1941, there have been 10 inquiries, hearings, and investigations. 5 of these resulted in no evidential findings, no blame ascribed to either commander. Only the Roberts Commission in 1941 made a specific charge which was later repealed by both the Navy and Army boards and again in 1946 by a joint congressional committee. None of these found the Pearl Harbor commanders guilty of anything. In fact, Kimmel was totally exonerated. And as more intelligence came to light, a number of credible historians came to the defense of the commanders. As a result, Senator Strom Thurmond, chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, convened a hearing in 1995 in Washington, which resulted in the 10th investigation, known as the Dorn Report. That report held that the Pearl Harbor commanders should not have been held solely responsible for the success of the attack. However, subsequent appeals to the Department of Defense were rejected on the basis that no new information had emerged justifying the Kimmel family's request for posthumous restoration of rank. But there is new information significant to this case. In 2003, Michael Gannon, University of Florida professor of history and renowned author of historical works, appeared in the National Press Club in Washington to make public his findings. First, Admiral Kimmel has been criticized for failing to utilize long-range air reconnaissance patrols over the more dangerous sectors of the Pacific Ocean. Professor Gannon's extensive research of government archives disclosed there were no specific sectors of the ocean that had been specified as more dangerous, and that Kimmel had only 49 of 250 planes needed for a 360-degree search. Instead of throwing his patrol force away on a token search, Kimmel saved his aircraft for offensive actions specified in the Navy Pacific War Plan. As Vice Admiral William F. Halsey said, any admiral worth his stars would have made the same choice. Second, despite repeated pleas by Admiral Kimmel for any information relevant to shallow water torpedo technology, he was told there was none. Not true. Gannon found documentation showing the U.S. Navy Department 5 months prior to the attack had received in writing confirmation that the British had developed shallow water torpedoes. Tragically, this was never conveyed to Kimmel. Third, the claim that Kimmel's Navy was in a peacetime in Hawaii mentality with sailors on liberty. In fact, Professor Gannon's research of government archives shows 95% of enlisted personnel were on board all ships, as well as 5 of the 8 commanding officers. The ships were beehives of activity. Officers and sailors were performing their watchkeeping, gunnery, and engineering duties. In fact, Admiral Nimitz later maintained the same state of readiness that Kimmel had in place on December 7th, and he reissued without change Kimmel's Pacific Fleet confidential letter on port security. These new findings, along with the totality of documented evidence, propelled Congress to confirm the need for justice. Justice for 2 fine officers who were willing to fight and die for their country. And in 1999, Senators Bill Roth and Joe Biden reached across the aisle to champion a joint appeal for that justice. And they made their case clear. I quote, Kimmel and Short were among the most accomplished officers to serve in our nation's armed forces. They remain unjustly stigmatized by our nation's failure to treat them in the same manner we treated their peers. The message is about justice, equity, and honor. Its purpose is to redress an historic wrong, to ensure that these 2 officers are treated fairly and with the dignity and honor they deserve. They go on to state, that the intelligence made available to the Hawaiian commanders was not sufficient to justify a higher level of vigilance than was maintained prior to the attacks. Both commanders have been assured by their superiors in Washington that they were being provided all available intelligence. Neither had any idea that essential strategic and tactical intelligence was being withheld for telling the time and place of the attack. Mr. President, the Kimmel family understands this is a time of war. Our request does not rank high in the hierarchy of critical issues confronting our nation, but in the interest of the principles of honor and justice that define the very spirit of America, we ask that you grant this request now. Please nominate Admiral Husband Kimmel and General Walter Short to their highest held ranks of World War II. Thank you.